that you look at each of the numbered 1 through 7 objectives and factors and just mark on it whether you think she meets, she exceeds, she far exceeds. If there's a comment you want me to give back to her, just write it out in the white space to the right. Get these back to me so I can.
When you want them back as?
By the next board meeting.
Okay.
When
is that?
May 8th.
May 8th. Okay.
And that way I can take your scores, you know, your meets plus my exceeds, that's a 3 plus a 3 plus a 4, come up with the average. I did take a set just like this and email it to Dr. Bunch today so that she has the very same item in her inbox since she's away from campus this week and not here today.
Okay.
With a request to her to have it back to me by the May meeting. So then I can compile all the scores, run it through the spreadsheet that does the calculation that the county uses so that Jan can have it in place prior to the end of the fiscal year.
Because right away because I'm really inundated.
Okay. So if you just can drop it back off with Susan, I'll grab it from her, or
so, it's easy for me to know who to give it to.
Or bring it back on May the 8th, and I'll grab it then.
No, I'm gonna
scan it and send it to me.
Or scan it and email it to me.
The longer I have it, the worse it'll disappear.
Yep. So, but yeah, I just thought, you know, I started marking mine just as an example. Tell me which one, and if there's something you want us to note in the comments to her, just kind of write it on the side, and I'll try to do a summary of the comments because there's a section for that on the actual county form. And that's all of that.
Okay.
But then we won't be behind the schedule that the county puts out for
because it has to be done by July.
Right.
So, and certainly, I mean, you've got, you'll have the quarterly report for the last quarter at your next meeting. So that you should have information. Okay. Are you ready for me to move to the director's report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, agency personnel. We currently have 15 vacant positions. We filled 8 since the last meeting. We are still moving people around internally, which keeps, you know, those vacancies going.
New vacancies.
But it's an opportunity for folks to do things that they maybe want to do something different, and so that'll allow them maybe to hopefully stay with us by trying that. We have, of those 15, you can see that 5 are frozen. 2, we got permission to post 4 today, so there's only 3 that are currently frozen. So, I don't know if anybody's got any questions about those. You have an idea of what was filled since the last meeting.
I like the fact that the frozen number count is down, because I used to ask questions about staff morale and stress and tension, because I use this as a gauge of knowing how it impacts the staff. And if they got to do everybody's job and all these frozen parts, I mean, I think about myself. So you got to have something that you look at that you make some reasonable judgment about. And I like a happy staff. That means the work will get done.
That's right. That's right. Okay. If looking at the Medicaid application processing report, we did not pass this month for the month of.
What's the reason?
We did not pass in the other Medicaid. We were off 2%, and we are rebutting the score. 16 of the cases that were counted against us, somebody forgot to put a yes in a block. The notices went out timely, etc., but because the yes wasn't in the block, they got counted against us in the score. So we are hopeful that that 16 plus a couple of other cases that we are rebutting will get us back into the 90%. If it does not, this will be the first of 3 or the first of 5, 3 consecutive or 5 in a 12-month period. So it was close.
That's a human error.
It was a human error. That's right.
I mean,
that's right. But that is how we are scored. And you can see that it only took us 27 days on average to process cases, and these were 45-day cases. So we're still processing really quickly. Our 90-day cases we're doing in 49 days. So on average, we're doing well. And this particular issue had to do with a temporary worker who was helping us out with some stuff, and she just made a mistake. It happens. So, but we are arguing that, and we will. Yes, and we will let you know if this changes. That's where we are at this point with that. Anybody got any questions on that?
Because funds are tied to this, right?
No, what would happen would be if we had 3 consecutive or 5 out of 12, then we would go into a corrective action status.
Yeah.
And ultimately a state takeover if we didn't get where we needed to go. We're not going to be in that situation, I can guarantee. Famous last words, but I can guarantee we will not be in that situation. So I think this was a fluke and we'll be okay.
Okay.
The energy assistance, this is the final report. Everything's done. I think, Brian, you had about $99 left in.
That's all?
Yeah, and you couldn't use that because you had to make payments in $200, $300, or $400 increments. So we wiped that out. SIP, the same way. I don't know, Michelle probably had a few dollars left, but you couldn't do anything with it. So you can see, however, we served a whole lot of folks this year.
Yes, indeed.
3,593 in LEAP and 3,666 in SIP. And we had our community partners helping us with LEAP, the Low Income Energy Program, and they took 690 of those applications. So that was a real help to us and a real help to the clients because it was in their neighborhood as opposed to having to come to us. So
I think I would like to look at the evaluation of some of these, because when you see $900 light bills and the house, and it's not more than 4 people in the house, and then they paid one, and then here comes another one for $900. Something has just have to be wrong. Something, there is a problem somewhere. And then you send someone and say, look, let's go see what we can do to help them out for conserving. Actually, I like to see a family be able to rise up in their resources and their income. But they can't if they're paying this kind of light bill. How can they eat?
Right. And there were some incredibly cold days and cold stretches this winter.
Yes.
But we also have some incredibly poorly insulated windows and houses in some of the poorer parts of the county.
right. And I know we put together for the manager a list of resources in the community that I think he gave to the commissioners. There are, Pitt County really doesn't have a weatherization program.
Right.
No,
And
it
we used to send a lot of folks to the Martin community, that's right.
There is a bid proposal out right now, I believe, based on my research I was doing for him on that, to try and get something for Pitt County. But, so I don't know if they will have something shortly or not, but right now we don't have anything.
Well, I hate to bring that up. I was going to ask about middies and weatherization and whatever. Have there been any?
Not out of Mideast. Our weatherization that
It's out of
planning
Martin.
could tap into was always out of Martin Community Action.
That's what I'm talking about. But there's some block grant, whatever.
That maybe Mideast could tap into.
So it is an issue because we do have some very, some houses that are not good for heat.
We're looking into some things, and I'm also talking with some residents out there because some of those residents come with a lot of concern, and we started talking about what they need to do with their residents to conserve. And the more I find out about that, the more I will share it. Because I'm like an old icebox. I don't keep that kind of information. I share it. So, but maybe we can do some more in the community. There's some things that I found out about that I'm looking. I did talk with one of the directors out of Raleigh who tends to want to help. The problem is with us, we don't have enough personnel in the agency that can help keep me from having to do. I don't have the time, and I'm trying to approach the comment gently. But I want the people to have a very positive and good quality of life, and that's why I'm extending myself so. But maybe when I come up with it, I'll give you a little buzz, all right?
Okay, okay. And hopefully one of the community action agencies nearby will be able to get that bid and ramp up, because they're already doing it in their communities.
Right.
And there are some others surrounding us.
Are you?
I'm through.
Okay. Next item, board member comments.
Board members' comments?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to thank you all for my quick, impromptu decision not to come to the last board meeting. There was snow, and I had signed up to go to the Washington, D.C., where only county commissioners to go. And the staff from the White House was there, and they did talk about the programs, and they talked about block grants. My question was, because I hear a lot about going to paperless textbooks and it concerns me because, like, when I was at the office, even though the bill is paid, we couldn't even get internet. And so the emails are not going. And it bothers me when a family is going to have to rely on that, and the child is going to have to get up and find a place in the middle of the night to get the homework done. So I can't see how that's going to function in a rural area. And that's what tends to bother me. When that gets solved, I probably can go home and sit down. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but I want to thank you all for your patience and understanding with that. My question was, this area does not have a functioning interstate highway, and jobs and communications and broadband doesn't happen over here as it does other places. And what's going to happen with that? And it started quite a discussion from the county commissioners on the east of 95, because they said that's right, and they were just happy about it. So we talked about a lot of things, from prayer in the schools to that. I was more concerned about the safety of the school, and rather than the prayer, and the interstate and jobs, because that keeps the crimes down. So it was quite an interesting and my first time venture on that kind of thing. Never seen so much security in all my life, but it was there. Thank you, colleagues.
Jim?
Just as always, I want to thank Jan and the staff for all that they do.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
yeah.
A lot going on.
Miss Becky?
I like to say one thing, too. She makes Pitt County Board of Commissioners meetings. And if something come up, she's right there to respond, and I like that.
Mhm.
I like that very much, because then it comes from the right source and not a speculative response. So I want to let you know, even though you're short, I see you.
You're good. You're good.
Thanks.
And I just want to say thank you to Mary. Mary and I staffed the board table at the DSS employee fair, and got to personally thank a lot of the staff for the work they do every day, and maybe help them put a name and a face together, and that we are real people and not just some board that doesn't care about what they do and how they do it. So
Didn't
it was
you
a nice,
enjoy it?
It was a nice event, and we had the best candy on our table.
I think so.
Which probably was because of her and Miss Susan down there. It's not a good thing when you're on a diet, and there's little Rolos and all that kind of chocolate down there. But it was a good event, and you had a lot of your employees there that day.
And good to see you back, Becky.
Thank you.
It's
good to
very
be back.
Good to see you.
We'll remind you again, evaluation information at least by May 8th. And otherwise, we will accept a motion to,
Oh, I like those. Motion to adjourn.
My second.
it's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.